Thanks for joining us online today. At Convergence SD, we envision a place where the people of God converge with the purpose of God in establishing the kingdom of God. We'd love to hear how He's doing that in your life. So take a second and shoot us an email at info@convergencesd.com. Let us know how this ministry is impacting your life. If you'd like to partner with us financially, you can do so online at convergencesd.com or simply text your gift to 619-344-8454.
Give it up for our worship team. What do you think? It's so cool. I don't know if you know, but that song just before that last one, Janelle and Travis actually wrote that together. Woo! So yeah, so many cool things happening here at Convergence, stuff like that, and we're hoping to see more of that. And we're in the middle of a series called Oikos, which is all about family and kind of your extended family, that 8 to 15 people that God has both supernaturally and strategically placed in your life. And I can't think of anyone that embodies that concept of family more than my good friend Eric Williams, who is going to share with you today. I'm so excited. What a great birthday present it is for me to hear him preach. So would you please welcome Eric Williams.
And so I'm excited to have you guys here. I pray, and my prayer is that through this we get another understanding of what Oikos is, and then that's what we're going through in this series. We're talking about family, ironically, I got a call yesterday from my older brother, who we usually try to talk at least once a week or so, somewhere around there. But I got a call from him, and we talked for a little bit, which was a blessing. I'm always, he's one of those that always has something good for me. On the flip side of that, this morning at 5 o'clock, because my younger brother lives on the East Coast, he called me, and anybody know my relationship with him, it's one of those that it's been some distance. And it was funny because as this week, as I was preparing this message and really trying to just allow God to speak to me, and even as I met with a couple of my mentors and we talked and stuff, to be able to talk to him this morning and our conversation be spiritual was phenomenal. Like to see and hear him and have him call me and talk to me about stuff, about life and about God and how he sees God and view God in his life, it's phenomenal because he was one of the ones that didn't go to church when we grew up. He kind of went with my mom to the Baptist church, which if anybody knows Baptist churches, it's a whole different feel, especially Black Baptists. It's a whole different, it's an event, just to know, it's an event. Go for a show, it's an event. So then he came with me a couple of times when I was in youth group, and we were talking about the differences, and he asked me, he's like, why is it this way? Well, they wouldn't let me in the building at the Baptist church because the way I dressed, compared to when I went to your church, they didn't care. And I really was like, honestly, that's man. That's not God. God doesn't care what you look like, as long as you come to him. And I said, what it comes down to is we as men sometimes, we get in that way of God doing and being who he is because we feel we know better. And so part of that, and going with my message this morning, the title of my message is Fish and Bread or Life. And I posted this question. I love to ask questions just to kind of get people thinking. And I ask people, what it looks like and what do they want it on Facebook. And the one thing I wanted, and the question came up, actually I was talking to a couple other pastors, and one of the pastors I was talking to, he was getting frustrated because he's teaching his class, and he was talking about how people wasn't, it started out with a bunch of people, and then it just kind of died down. And he was frustrated because he felt it was like, he's like, what am I doing wrong? And as pastors, and Eric knows this, you get in a mode where you equate numbers to your success. And God doesn't do that. God doesn't even care about that. That's not even his realm. And so this morning, in crafting this, I thought about that. And as I thought about that and I prayed about it, I'm like, okay, God, I'm one of those when people talk to me, I listen because there's always somebody says something, I'm like, that could be a message. And so in that talking to him, I came up with But that promise, the premise of that's a message, and I dug into it, and I really want to look into it. And I stole this from one of my mentors, great guy. But the quote I want to start off with is trusting God is hard work, but I promise you this, it reaps great reward. Trusting God is hard work, but I promise you this, it reaps great reward. Here's what I mean by that, and it'll tie into family and what I'm talking about. Most of you know, I'm a single dad. I raised my 3 kids, and through that process, I had to work a full-time job because, I got to pay for bills and rent and all the other stuff it requires when you raise kids, even yourself. And through that process, it required me to having to trust people and what I call, or make them babysitters, because I had to have them watch my kids or watch over my kids or be venues for my kids. And with that, it required me trusting them. But with that trust, I wasn't really so much trusting them as I was trusting God, because I had to make sure that, and in my life, that's huge, because I'm like, okay, God, I got to do this, but I need, this is what I need. And being in a sense, too, to where I didn't have family here, because all my family's on the East Coast, it required me putting a lot of trust in people. And some of them were church people, and some of them were friends and stuff that I met. But I come to understand that through that trust in God, he gave me blessings. Because from those blessings, I grew family. Now, I got family now that I've known, 10, 12 years, 15 years, because of that and being in that. And what I want you to understand is that a lot of times, especially when it comes to church, and what I'm talking about, fish and bread, it comes to, you come in looking for babysitters. You come in looking for somebody to give you comfort or whatever and things of that nature. And that's great. Don't get me wrong. We want to do that. But besides the fish and bread, we want to give you life. And here's what I mean by that. Life comes with being family. Like I said, trusting God is hard work, but it reaps great reward. Family it's a lot of work. Anybody knows that you got brothers and sisters, siblings. Sometimes they ain't the best, but you love them because you know that it becomes so much more. And I think about it when it comes to church family, because we wasn't born to each other. God brought us together, and that's even more special, because we didn't have a choice. And y'all have heard this before. You don't have a choice who your siblings are, but you have a choice who your friends are. Well, we have a choice who our family is. And God put us together for a purpose. And I love that fact, because it's one of those things, whereas with me, it becomes... it becomes intentional. One a good friend of mine, she said she loves the fact that I'm intentional with my relationships. Here's why I'm intentional with my relationships. In Matthew 4, 19 and 20, Jesus was walking, and this is when he just starting to gather his disciples, and he's walking by a couple of guys, and he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." And immediately they left their nets and followed him. The reason I point this out is because of this. When it comes to being with God, our thing is he wants us to be fishers of men. What that requires of us is trusting him to be outside our comfort zone. These guys left their nets and their livelihood immediately to follow Jesus, not knowing what was going to be or what the case was. And through that process, they created a family. They became the 12 disciples. They went out and did different things, or 11 if you count Judas being betrayed. But the whole premise of that message, and why I love that, is because they followed him and dropped everything, not knowing what the circumstances was and where they're going. And with family, especially in church family, when we come, we don't know what it is. We don't know what God's expecting, but we follow because we know the reward is great. And I'm going to keep saying that because I want you guys to understand that. It's a point to understand the rewards are great. Here in the kingdom, I think about this, and think about our family, for example. This last couple of months have been phenomenal for us. There's things that you guys have done. I mean, I could not have been so excited and proud of just how you guys have stepped up and conquered everything that we need to do as a family. Everything we need to do. And you think about it. We had a memorial service. We had a wedding. we've got set up, tear down, we've got, we're planning to help out for Easter. All the things that are asked of us, we do as a family and knock out the park. Not because we are great, but because God is great. And because of that greatness, he allows us to shine and give him the glory. And it brings in and makes us family. So when people walk in that door, they feel that love. They feel his presence. And part of being fishers of men and going to Oikos and what we're talking about, and me and Eric were talking about this and making disciples, a lot of times when we think about making disciples, we think about doing. And we haven't yet been one. And God wants us to be a disciple. He says, come follow me and be my disciple, and I'll make you fishers of men. You have to be equipped and understand what that means. And if you don't, then you're out there, and it's one of those things that I was talking to a brother, and I was like, I don't want to say something that'll do damage. So that requires me being before I start doing. And we have a habit of doing before we start being. And then we end up doing damage, and it's like, okay, God, why'd you do this to me? Well, no. He didn't do anything. We wasn't equipped to get it done. We fell short because we didn't want to put in the hard work to reap that reward. And so when I was doing this message, and I had something completely different in my head when I did this, but more and more as it came, and even as, so like I said, some men spoke into my life, I started to understand better what I was supposed to talk about this morning. And understanding that and going through and said, how do we be disciples? Because if we're being disciples, we'll become family. Because now we're not just coming together on Sundays. And a lot of times what happens is, and where I got the fish and bread in my head is, because when the cows followed Jesus, they came to get fed. They wanted fish and bread, so he gave them food. But they didn't have life. And that life requires the work. And so a lot of people didn't stick around. They didn't want to be part of that because it is. It's hard. Being a Christian, being a disciple, it ain't easy. It requires sacrifice. It requires giving up everything you have to follow him. But it's easier with family. It's easy to walk this road knowing I've got Mike or Eric or Ron with me than to do it by myself. Even Jesus had 12 disciples. So why is it, you think about that. And so my point in that is understand that you can't just do family on Sundays. Sundays is more, it's one of those things where you come in, at least in my perspective and as a pastor, my job is to give you some nuggets so when you go through the week, you learn how to eat. My job is to teach you. Jesus said, I will teach you and make you fishers of men. My job is to teach you. If you're looking for me to get fed on Sundays, I'm sorry, that's not going to be enough food for you. It requires us being in there through the week, and that's the part of being and not just doing. We have to be through the week, so when we get here on Sundays, we're doing the family. Amen. But so love that child. But it really requires, that's what it requires of us. It requires of us to do that. Acts 2, verse 44 and 47 says, and all who believed were together and all had all things in common, and they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. And day by day attending the temple together, and breaking bread in their homes. Not coming on Sundays to have church, but doing it in their homes. Why again? It creates family. I love to be able to hang out and go over to Mary Susan Rennie's house on Monday. If I go, we picking. That's the best thing ever. Because I get to sit there and laugh and joke and have a good time. I get to eat too. Don't get me wrong, I love food. But it is a blessing because I know that it requires and a love in order for me to be family, for me to really say I'm their brother or her brother or his brother, I've got to spend time with them and vice versa. Back to the scripture, it says, breaking bread in their homes, they received their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having favor. I did type that wrong. Favor with, excuse me, with the people. And the Lord added to that number day by day those who were being saved. And the Lord added to that number day by day those who were being saved. Why did he add to that number day by day those who were being saved? Because they grew as family. They bonded. They became one. They were oikos. They did stuff together as family. I spent yesterday doing family. I helped Angie in the morning, and I got to hang out with Sean and my brother Kirk, who's up from Mexico, and Daryl. But it was a blessing to do family with them yesterday. It sucked because I didn't get to do family with another brother because I was running behind. I had some other stuff to get done, and then it was a little crazy. But it was just a blessing to be able to do family with them. Because, again, it's time to say, hey, I appreciate you. I value you. I enjoy our time together. Regardless of whatever it is, whether it's me serving them or them serving me, whatever it is, I enjoy that time. Are you looking to enjoy the time with your family? When we talk about talking to that 8 to 15 people in your oikos, is it a burden for you? And if it is, why? Why is it a burden? If you're really wanting them to, you say they're your family, your friends, or whatever it is, that shouldn't be a burden. That's not love. And you can be like, well, so-and-so. No. Jesus and God don't require excuses. He requires us to be and follow through. Put in the work. Hard work reaps great reward. And one of the things that I think we as a family and how we get better is loving on each other in a way that as day by day our numbers increase. I look at our family now and the bonds in the family and the culture we built, God built. Let me rephrase that. God built. We are his children. We are his servants. God built. And you think about it. The hearts have been healed by being part of this ministry, being part of this team. It's phenomenal. None of us can do that alone. We only can do that as a family. And I think about, I'm going to use him because I love him deaf, and we've been spending a good bit of time together lately. Me and Mike LePan. I crave spending time with this brother. I wanted to get to know him. And as much as I wanted to, I had to wait till he was ready because I'm a lot to handle. And if you ain't ready, then it's going to be overwhelming. I'm just going to put it out there. It's going to be overwhelming. I know who I am. I'm proud of it. I'm a lot to handle. But it was one of those things that I know that God had put in my heart that brother, I needed to love. And I think about the conversations we've had about how we've both been hurt, by church and different things like that, and understand that wouldn't happen if I didn't have a desire to be oikos or be family. And it's not so much, and I want you to get away from your head of thinking about making disciples. How about just growing family? Do it that way. How about just growing family? Just be a disciple and grow a family. Simple, very easy. Doesn't require you doing nothing but what? Sacrificing your time to love and hang out. That's all it really does. Requires sacrifice your time to love and hang out. We make time to watch TV. We make time to go do whatever we want to do when it's something we want, we feel it would benefit us. Well, let me tell you, making family benefits you because it makes that walk a lot easier. It makes that walk one to whereas you're never alone. It makes it understand that when, and she's not in here, but when something like what happens with Lisa and she needed family, we were there. Above and beyond, we were there for her. Why? Because we family and that need was met. It goes back and it says they broke bread daily. They broke bread together in their homes. It's being family. And we've been talking this whole series about that. And you'd be like, well, why are we're beating the horse because it's not existent. It's not in the world. There are broken families. You've got kids not respecting their parents. You've got parents kicking out their kids. You've got husband and wives. Families are broken and shattered right now. We have to be that example. We are the bride. We have to be that example. We have to be that family that says, hey, regardless of what you got going on, one of the things Eric says, and I love and we've adopted, is no matter where you've been, I don't care what you've done. I don't care what your home's like. I care about where you're going. But that requires of me being in your mess. Are you willing to get in my mess? As family, we have to get in each other's mess sometimes. It is uncomfortable. But are you willing to get in that mess? Are you willing to say, hey, I'm going to dig in this mud with you until we get out? Because that's what it takes. That's being a disciple and creating family instead of doing it. We need to have a lot less talking and a lot more action. We're good as Christians to say the right things. It sounds really good. But what are we doing? Are we being examples? Are we out there really loving on people and doing what we're supposed to do? And when it's not convenient for us, that's the kicker, when it's not convenient. If Ronnie calls you at 5 o'clock in the morning, are you going to get up and go, or are you going to whine because it's not convenient for you? If it's family, you're just going to do what you got to do. If your wife calls you and says, hey, I'm stuck, you get up no matter what. Why can it not be the same for your sister or your brother? If Jesus called us, we get up in a heartbeat, wouldn't care. We leave everybody and run. Didn't think twice about it. Well, that's what your brother and your sister are. They are that. So why do we not treat them the same way? Again, we have to be the example. We have to set what the standard should be. Jesus already gave it to us. God gave us the blueprint in the Bible. It's up to us to walk out and show it in a way to where as we are loving on each other and being family. You may have come in this morning thinking, looking for fish and bread. Came in thinking, I'm going to get fed, I'm going to get a message, I'm going to go home and go about my day. I want you to leave to understand that you came here because God wanted to give you life. And with that life, he wants to give you a family. So when you go home, think about how can I grow the family? What it requires of me to grow the family. What it requires of me to be to my neighbor who I know may be going through some stuff. How can I be family? How can I serve him? Are you humble enough to wash somebody's feet? Figuratively and literally, either way. If that's what it required, could you do it? Would you do it? And do it with a heart of just being like Jesus and loving on him. When you really want, and a lot of times when we really want something, we go all out. We want to impress somebody, we put on our best clothes, we do everything because it benefits us. What if it never benefited you? What if doing that for your neighbor didn't benefit you? What if you didn't see the reward in that? 9 times out of 10, we may not. It's not for us to. It's for us to do. It's for us to be. Being God's disciple, being Jesus' disciple, requires us to do that. Not so much for our satisfaction, or for us to see the numbers or get the reward. In the sense of, oh, I gave a great message, filled the building up, 500 people came. What good is that if I didn't love one of them, none of them are my family? How did I really benefit them? What did I really give to them? The whole premise of what we talk about with Oikos, and even going to the seminar I went to, is really, it comes down to simple, and it sounds crazy because we think really, but it comes down to love. How much do you love, and are you loving like Jesus? Are you loving unconditional? Are you loving to the point that it hurts? Are you willing to give up your life? Are you that committed? Are you willing to give up your life? It requires that of us. Maybe not literally dying for somebody, but it really requires us to really like, listen, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to let you know. I have a friendship right now with a brother that we started out, this dude did not want nothing to do with me. Like, I would hunt this brother down every Sunday when I saw him. We used to go to church together at a different church, and now we go here, but this dude did not want nothing to do with me. He was just like, no, don't touch me, don't hug, listen. But it was something where I was like, I'm going to love this dude regardless. I'm going to love him to the point that he's going to realize his uncomfortability is going to be comfortable. And so every time I saw him, I would hug him, I would ask him what was going on, and anytime I was like, so how's this going, how's this going? And I just, because I wanted him to know I was invested in him, and I loved him, and I saw something in him because I knew he was hurt. Didn't know how or what, but I knew he was hurt. And God spoke to me and said, just love on him. And so I did. And this cat right now is probably one of the cats that I run through a brick wall with. I see the potential of him and what God's doing to him, and it's phenomenal. And I sit back and I'm humble because I'm hoping God will work on me even more to be more like him in some of the things he does, because he's just that special to me. And it comes down to being uncomfortable with myself to say, hey, listen, no matter what, every time I'm going to see this brother, I'm going to get on him. But it requires us doing family. It requires us truly, truly being inconvenienced. What are you willing to be inconvenienced for? What are you willing to step outside and says, okay, I'm uncomfortable. What does it look like? All right, God, what do you want to do with me? Because I guarantee you, and I promise you this, the more uncomfortable you feel in the spirit, the more God is going to do through you. I've learned that. If you disagree with me, well, step outside uncomfortable and see what happens. If you're doing it for God, I guarantee you grow in such a way that you didn't truly understand. And I've done that. I truly have, and it's a blessing to me. It's a blessing to me because I'm able to be around and understand truly what family is. Last scripture, Isaiah 52:7. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him who brings good news, who publishes peace, who brings good news of happiness, who publishes salvation, who says to Zion, your God reigns. Trusting God is hard work. I promise you to reach such great rewards. Trusting God is hard work. It requires you to be faithful and obedient. It requires you to understand that you need to be before you can start doing.
Thanks again for joining us online today. Our goal at Convergence SD is to help you find Christ and fulfill your purpose in Christ. We believe the best way to do that is within the context of relationships. So, if God stirred your heart today, let me encourage you to take the next step and send us an email at info@convergencesd.com. Or, better yet, why not join us at one of our Sunday morning services?